Okay, hold on. Let me get this. I'm not dressed for this job. I was dressed all day and then I got tired and I came home. All right, where is it? This one will do. This is a friend of mine. His name's Ellie too. See, this is at the governor's mansion. He's a hoodie. He's an older hoodie. Now this is my signature. It's the E is the blossom, the stem, the roots, and the leaves. And I guess I studied Joseph Campbell, and then I studied Sir Ken Robinson. And as I was signing and practicing my signature as an artist, it became a blossom, a stem, a roots, and a leaves. And the blossom is philosophy and the arts. I love reading philosophy. I read and read and read and read. You can never read it all because, like Kant wrote all his life. So, how could I read all of Kant's? But I did read some of it and I absolutely love it. And I read a lot of the Greek philosophers, and like Diogenes didn't write anything, but I read stuff about him. And I would highly advise you to see some videos. If you don't read it, just go ahead and see some videos on the philosophy that Thomas Jefferson studied and decided to read, to write, and do architecture that he thought that our Constitution and the philosophy of our country would be based on. Nietzsche wasn't around, so do you think Nietzsche improved on the Constitution? Well, things come and go. And Sartre, there's dreams, the whole thing of, like, I read, who was it? Kant. I was trying to get synthetic a priori thought, and it was really tough, and I kept reading it and reading it. Of course, this was written in the late 1700s. And then as I was studying it, and then, I had read Sartre and John Locke and David Hume, and I got to think, I thought maybe it's Freudian, or maybe it's about dream and imagery, because I had such a tough time, like, trying to do synthetic a priori. So to me, I guess if you were going to ask me what synthetic a priori is, to me, the way it made sense to me was dream images, which hadn't been studied so much. But anyway, that's not really what this is about. What this is about education and what you want your child to have when they go to school, public school. My dad, who went to William & Mary, smart guy, graduated from Tech, though, but he was a smart guy, and he said one time, when communism comes in our country, they're going to kill the artists. And I put two and two together, and I said, well, why have we haven't really taken the arts. We never actually had the arts in public schools, but the wealthy people educated their kids in the arts. But as time has gone by, it seems like that's going by the wayside, that nobody's educating their kids on the arts unless you go to art school. And even when I went to art school, there was a lot of stuff I wasn't educated on that I had to go outside and just keep looking, like Kandinsky's Concerning the Spiritual and Arts, and a lot of stuff that it led to me going to even the philosophy and stuff that I furthered my studies. So I thought, when you're going to go to public school and all they're going to give you is a STEM, you got to be careful about that. That sounds communist to me, that we're going to kill the arts by not engaging the brain. And when you give the kids seeds, like, you can't teach the arts. The arts have to engage the brain. You can give the information, but the child has to be interested and has to experiment. You can't force a child to learn arts. That's just not going to happen. That's experimental. It's a brain learning. But if you don't place, like, you throw the seeds out and a child engages and learns and loves and practices, but if you don't engage the child with the information and maybe a paintbrush or two if it picks it up and wants to do it, which expands the creativity and thought into a philosophical or art creativity that also can play over into the math. Because you're experimenting and growing that side of your brain and creativity, it can also help the math and sciences, to get genius into math and sciences, which is, we need that. Not just in music and arts and entertainment, things like that, for our lives to have better quality. But we need to engage both sides of the brain. And when I hear from Ralph Northam that he's going to help us with the STEM, or Obama, we're going to help with the STEM, and I don't hear anything about the Blossom. And then I go into the inner city neighborhoods and I say, oh, well, these are some really bright, fun, beautiful children that are quite happy. But then in the high school years, they go to jail. And then we have welfare. And then I go to the city pools and I say, my goodness, they don't know how to swim. And there's no programs teaching these children how to swim, even though the pools are open. From 8 a.m. to 12, no one's using the pools. We could have summer school swim teams. Swimming is an essential sport, and unfortunately in poor neighborhoods, why can't they pay somebody, or they need a bus to pick them up? Why are these poor black people giving their money to private property when they were slaves for 400 years for us? And we can't help engage them in creativity and arts, which they're good at, but there's absolutely no instruments in the hood. None. It's almost like a form of torture, to me, what I see. So they're so unhappy, they don't know what to ask for because they're so secluded. And what we have here is a thing called Plato's Cave. My dad would say, well, it's a free country. They can go anywhere. But they don't know that because they've been in segregation and slavery so long that they don't even, some of them, know what to ask for. So we do need to guide them into a house and coming out of this, that they are smart and they're funny and they're creative and they are worthy of a house. And they're not bad people. They're very good, gracious, wonderful people that just simply haven't had the same. When I go to the welfare office and I see the food stamps, guess what? There's not a door to knock on to train me for a job. This is some weird kind of effort that I don't even know they know how to make, to know how to train for what kind of job they can do, especially when their grandma was in segregation and had to drop out in 3rd grade and can't read. They go to church. The education system of their grandparents was one of church. It's all about morals and God. So they don't really have a basis of knowledge that a lot of other people, grandparents or parents that went to college. So they do need to get out and get a little house and get a little base of, and we can get the prisoners to do that are in prison that maybe shouldn't be there, had they had a better base of knowledge of what to do. You know, they may need some Kantian approach of ethics and morals instead of, don't do it because Jesus said not to do it, you know, and we need money, but just doesn't make any sense. We don't know how to get there, and we're being judged. Yeah, we're being judged by the neighborhood pretty harshly. I know I went to the Baptist church and they just weren't going to help. It took me probably 5 or 6 tries to finally say, could you please, 2 miles away, there's a Baptist church that needs a little bit of help. But I told him, I said, the body and blood of Christ, when you ingest that, you need to have the sympathy and empathy of Christ. But they still thought they were a lot better than the poor African church. But anyway, so we're all blossoms and flowers, and we planted in different types of soil, and we're different kinds of flowers. But the roots, as Joseph Campbell would say, follow your bliss. You have DNA, and that's a teacher's responsibility. That is a teacher's. We get the federal government out of these classes. Let the teachers teach. Let the teacher find the genius of that child. Find out what it likes to read, what they want to do. Of course, you've got a core curriculum. But the nuances of that child, let the teacher find it and keep that child engaged. I don't care what color the skin is. You find that child and what it likes to do. And then you found its genius, its gifts, its creative force, what it's going to study, what it's going to do, what it's going to love to do for this world, for its family, for its friends, the community, and itself. And we don't want to lose that child. We want that child to succeed. And the leaves, again, were the sports, and the stem and the blossom. And that will be a beautiful community and world that we can create. Thank you.